Six Nations Team of the Week, folks, for round number 4. Let's go through 15 guys who stood out at the weekend and give them some stats and key events and whatnot. And you guys can let us know your thoughts on who you would have in the Team of the Week. Plus, there'll be a few honourable mentions as well. But yeah, let's get cracking, man. First one, props. And I am a on-the-record fan of this guy, old CYRIL. I think that's the second week in a row that I have picked this guy as my loose head. He continues to impress, man. He's got good hands. Good hands. I mentioned it in the match review. Right before Marcus Smith knocked on one of the French kicks to him, CYRIL had like taken a fingertip, pass down by his ankles and managed to hold it. So great hands for a big man. He's got an offload in this game, which I think is his only pass. Makes 5 from 5 of his tackles. He has 10 runs, which was really busy work for a prop. 14 metres is a decent return. Anything above 1 metre per carry for a prop using the Opta stats, obviously, rather than the Six Nations official ones, which tend to be way more generous with their run meters. But to keep things consistent, because most of the other comps use Opta. 10 carries, 14 metres. Plays over an hour. Doesn't concede any penalties at scrum time. CYRIL. He's a good player. And I thought he had a pretty good shift at the weekend. And another one of my personal favourites, and probably one of your personal favourites as well, is old TADHG Furlong. Welcome back to the Six Nations, TADHG Furlong. We missed you. Yeah, didn't look even an inch short. Does that make any sense? He didn't look off the pace at all, is the point that I'm trying to get to. He's had a long break from the game. You think sometimes these guys, maybe they might take a while to come back. He's a bit like Eben Etzebeth, who played fewer games for the Storms than he did for the Boks in his time with them. He was always injured, but then he would come back for the Springboks and just play the house down. It's pretty much what TADHG Furlong did, and I'm not surprised, really. 7 carries from him, 8 metres, so again, just sneaking above the old 1 metre per carry. He has 4 passes, 12 from 13 tackles, though. A big effort from him, so one of the top tackling props this week for sure. Plays 65 minutes on his return. Plays with Cian Healy next to him in the front row, which is probably a bit unusual with Cian being a hooker. But doesn't concede any penalties. They give the Scottish scrum a bit of trouble. So yeah, TADHG Furlong. Happy days seeing that guy scrummage. That is one of life's pleasures, right? Just watching that guy scrum. Happy. So those are your 2 props. Hooker, I went with a Welshman, an old Ken Owens. Certainly not as flashy. And it's been a weird one to pick hooker because the Irish lost both of theirs early on. Like basically for half the game, they were playing with 3 props on the field. So it was a bizarre one. So some of the guys kind of ruled themselves out. But I thought even with other guys in contention, Ken Owens was impressive. Not so much with his carrying. 3 carries, no meters. That's not that flash. But line-out wise, 87% is his line. I think they got 2 go wrong. 100% on defence when the Welsh actually missed a few tackles in that game, but not Ken Owens. 12 from 12 is a great shift as well. He does concede 1 penalty, but I mean, just some of the stuff that he does that maybe isn't as kind of flashy, like the Rhys Webb where he sets it up for Faletau. Like Rhys Webb snipes at the side of that ruck. Like who cleans out right before Webb has his wee pick and snipe? It's Owens, like just smashes through. So kind of, has his part in the try, if less flashy. In that Italy denied try through Brex, where they thought the Welsh guys were offside. Remember, they had a big line break from their own half, the Italians. Ken Owens just runs back from his own half. Track him back. Doesn't give up, just runs hard for a front rower. You could have forgiven him for just kind of dawdling, but nah, man, he runs hard. And one of the offload passes goes to Rutzer, and it only took them slowing down for just a second. Ken Owens is there to make that tackle. So that's a tackle that he made starting from back in back in the Italian territory, running all the way back into his own half. So just commitment from your captain, man. That's exactly what you want to see. And he would have had a try of his own if not for the penalty try that the Italians gave away. So he's kind of denied getting on the score sheet. So Ken Owens, there you go, folks. He's my pick for hooker. Locks. I went with a Frenchman, and it would be hard to go past Thibaut Flamand for this one. Not many times do you see the hooker bag a couple of tries. but he gets a couple of tries. One where he's just kind of steaming onto the ball, which is exactly what you want to see from that guy. When you're 5 meters out, make yourself an option. Like, he made DuPont pick him. And yeah, he was able to kind of follow up by just crashing over the line. And then gets the other one from the slap back from Intermac. So good, man. Make yourself available and you'll get some reward from it. He does. 39 meters from 7 carries. It's a great return. Couple of clean breaks. Beats 4 defenders. So he's a real ball carrying option, which is maybe not what you think of when you think Flamont. He's been a big tackler this season, but yeah, did really well on the loose. 5 line-out wins, 9 from 9 tackles. Does concede a penalty, does drop 1. But, I mean, overall, it's like 7 passes and an offload. Just does a bit of everything, does Flamont, doesn't he? And a couple of tries, as I said. Happy days. Good on him. The other lock I went with, and these are 2 of the best locks in World Rugby right now. Flamont and Ryan would make a good duo of their own, wouldn't they? James Ryan. He's just a guy who just, I think I've mentioned this before, he just loves smashing people and smashing into people, doesn't he? That's just what he does. I don't know what his parents, they must have had a hard time with that guy. He must have just been absolutely full of beans, right? He would have been a terror around the house just because he's just got so much energy. 12 runs for 39 metres. Only Flamont is the other guy who gets close to him in terms of, you know, the meterage, but Ryan had made more carries because he was going into the contact maybe more than into the space. 4 passes, 3 line-out wins, 3 line-out steals, really disruptive of that Scottish line-out. 11 from 11 tackles. Guy was just everywhere. He does have 1 turnover conceded where he kind of coughs up that pill where he was a couple meters from the line and Ireland could have got a bonus point try, but man, James Ryan, as I said, busy guy, full of energy, and that's a good thing. Coaches love players who just get up off the ground and go again, and go again. Loose forwards. I ended up going with a Frenchman in Charles OLLIVON, the former captain. Put in a bit of a captain's knock, even if he's not the captain. 2 tries for him as well. One of them where he's the beneficiary of an ALLDRITT kind of, you know, carry and offload. And the other one is just some smart thinking. When he sees the ball is across the English goal line, chuck a hand on it. And it's try time for him, so smart stuff. 12 runs is a lot. 38 metres is a good return. Beats a defender, has a clean break. He's got 6 passes as well, a couple of offloads. Like, the ability for that French side to offload in that weather was genuinely exceptional. I forget what the count was. It was something like 12 to 1 or 12 to 2 in terms of offloads from France against England. Like, France just play with such confidence, man. 6 from 8 tackles is a little bit on the low side, but I mean, one of his offloads is the one that he offloads to Flamont. Flamont passes to Dumortier. Dumortier gets it to Ramos. So kind of both those guys, Flamont and OLLIVON, key guys in the build-up to that first French try. So this is what I'm talking about. Just high skills, man. Doesn't concede any penalties. Good player. Good player. It was a shame to see him out for as long as he was, but he's been back for a wee while now, since like the July tests when they played Japan, and he's looked the business. Another flanker I went with, I think they both wear 7, don't they? But the French kind of go left and right. Josh van der Flier goes open side flanker and hooker replacement, apparently. So I went with Josh van der Flier, reigning World Player of the Year, and apparently he does line out throwing now. With both of their hookers down and Cian Healy having to do the scrummaging side, Josh van der Flier took the throwing side, and he looked alright, man. I think they lost a couple, especially one where I think they went to the back, didn't work out that well, but go to the middle, go to the front. Josh van der Flier's got it, man. I think him and Peter Omani together made a pretty good combo, so yeah, I think Omani was calling it, and van der Flier was chucking it in, and it didn't look that bad. They finished with better line-out numbers than the Scots, who had their hooker throwing the ball in. So Josh van der Flier, goodness me. Only 2 carries, but 26 metres is a great return for meterage per carry. Beats a defender. He's got 6 passes. He's got 6 line-out throws that were won. So, yeah, I didn't say how many were lost, but I think it's a couple. 18 from 18 tackles. Is also the top Irishman in terms of tackles this game. And he wins a turnover. He does concede 1 penalty, but overall, man, Josh van der Flier, what's he going to do next? I saw some people on social media saying he'll be doing the goal kicking next. It would not surprise me if the guy can kick goals, honestly. He just does a bit of everything. And last one, I had to go with the French number 8, Gregory ALLDRITT. There's been a lot of conversation like last year, especially who's the best number 8 in the world? Is it ALLDRITT or is it Xavier? And this year I think you'd be saying Doris as well, but I mean Doris got injured early and in his game, and ALLDRITT in the French-English game, I think that's the best we've seen him play in the Six Nations thus far, man. He was on absolute fire. He was just bloody everywhere. 15 carries. I think it's the first equal with all the forwards this week. He just wanted the ball. Him and DuPont work really well together, always makes himself an option. He cranks up 71 run meters, which is the top for any forward this week. He's carrying from the back of that scrum, offloading in the tackle to OLLIVON to set up one of the tries, so he's credited with a try assist. He gets a clean break, he beats 2 defenders, 5 passes, 2 of them are offloads, 8 from 9 tackles. That's a good rate of tackle. He wins 2 turnovers. One of them's directly on his opposite number. I felt a bit sorry for Dombrat, man. When ALLDRITT's playing like that, it makes everyone else not look as good. And yeah, Dombrat immediately after England have scored, carries back from the restart, and someone smashes into him, and ALLDRITT just bam gets over the ball. Tough stuff. So yeah, no penalties conceded, no turnovers conceded. ALLDRITT, he's a pretty good player. So that is your forwards. Remember, we'll do honourable mentions in a tick, but let us get on to the backs. I think he's the only guy who I've picked every week, and it's Antoine DuPont. He's just very, very good. And this is one of his, I think, better weeks. He does have a few turnovers because I think he's got like 5. So again, not perfect from him, but geez, he was pretty good, man. Left-footed, 50-22. He makes that look incredibly easy. He gets a try assist where he picks out Flamont when Flamont's charging for the line. He's got 11 runs and 36 meters. His running game, I don't think, I mean, Webb is probably the closest, I guess, of the guys who started this weekend, but none of them quite have the running game that that DuPont's got overall. It's hard to judge. Like, Webb loves to snipe as well, but I don't remember how many carries he had, but I don't think it was anywhere near 11. I think it was 2 for Reece Webb, so he picked his moment well, whereas DuPont's just a regular ball carrier. A clean break and 3 defenders beaten. 10 from 10 tackles as well. I think Conor Murray had like 9 from 10, and everyone else was way lower. So DuPont just does a bit of everything. No penalties conceded. 46 passes. His kicking game, man. What else can you say? DuPont's very good at rugby. And he speaks well in the post-match press conference as well. So, yeah, he's got a bit of everything. Number 10 was a tricky one. I ended up going with Owen Williams. And it's nothing all that flashy as well. It's a bit like the Ken Owens one. I guess that's the kind of, like, that's the Welsh game against Italy, maybe in a nutshell. Is it wasn't that flashy, but it was really effective. Like, just controls the game well. I mean, he gets 7 points. He did leave a few out there from the boot. I think he kicked it like 60%. He certainly missed a couple of penalties. But he runs it a couple of times. He gets 20 meters, which is good, like similar to Webb in terms of his, when he runs it, it's an effective carry. It's not just running for running's sake. He's got 9 passes. He's got 200 odd kick meters. So him and Webb, I think, together worked really well to ping the Italians back. Like, they know the Italians want to play from their own half at times, so let them have a crack, man, and punish them when they make mistakes. That's pretty much what they did. He's credited with 9 from 13 tackles, so he's missed a few, but one of them's a try saver. Kieran Crowley didn't like it because he thought he was in an offside position, but the referee disagreed. So that one, kind of like Ken Owens' one in the build-up as well, is a big old try-saving tackle. So if not for that, the game maybe goes down a different direction. But yeah, overall, in the absence of Dan Bigger, they got a guy who's he's not that young. I think he's in his 30s, right? But he's pretty young in terms of international experience. But in a really high-pressure game where they went to that cauldron, where a lot of people had written them off, played with a kind of level of composure, which was really pleasing to see. Midfield, I've gone with another Frenchman, and Jonathan Danty. And this is one where the stats don't do him justice. Like, I watched the game and I was like, oof, reacting. When that guy was putting hits on people, goodness gracious me, big physical presence. And I think he made that physical presence felt. Like, he's only credited with 6 runs for 6 meters, but one of them's like a big carry before the Flamont first try. And I don't remember how many people he draws in. Is it 2 or is it 3? But just his big unit of a body moving forward. He might only go 1 meter, but he certainly draws in a few tacklers. So very next phase, France are just able to go one off, and Flamont charges over for the try. And I think he's up against the backs, isn't he? Because Danty's kind of drawn in the forwards. He's just got that frame about him that he can draw in some of your top tacklers because you need to. So doesn't reflect in the stats, but I think it was effective. 9 from 11 tackles. Some of those were pretty bloody effective as well. Just shutting down opposition play. He's also credited with a turnover. Like I remember once he conceded a penalty, and then he immediately just won a turnover just to kind of make up for it. Yeah, he's given 1 turnover conceded and 2 penalties conceded. But overall, yeah, I felt his presence in the game, even if the numbers don't really show how much that he did. So you guys have to let me know if you agree or not. But I thought Danty was a welcome return. Other midfielder, I ended up going with Hugh Jones, who continues to do well for Scotland. He scored their only try, and he's scoring a lot of tries. Him and Tuipulotu are quite the attacking combo, aren't they? So he gets that try. 9 runs for 78 metres is a heck of a good return, man. Certainly, you know, the Irish defence is sometimes hard to get that kind of meterage against, but he did really well. He gets a clean break. He beats 3 defenders. He's got 8 passes, so his involvement levels is really high. He's got a couple of offloads. 6 from 7 tackles is not the hugest tackle count, but in terms of his percentage, it's pretty solid, man. And one of those tackles, like, he stops Gary Ringrose from pretty close range to the Scottish try line. And Ringrose is in that kind of form where he just has a knack for getting to the goal line, eh? So the fact that Hugh Jones was able to stop him, I think, you know, speaks to his defensive nous as well. He does got a turnover conceded, but yeah, overall Hugh Jones, in what was probably a pretty disappointing, especially second half for the Scots, had a pretty good shift. Outside backs, I've gone with one James Lowe. He bagged himself a try. He got a bit criticised in his last game, right, where he couldn't quite finish off. This time he finished really well, man. The pass that he got for that try, it's above his head. He's got to take it really high up and then comes back down to ground, has a wee shimmy. So it's a real, you know, winger's finish. So proper, you know, bit of nous about him to know where to put his body. And just his second numbers are great, man. 10 runs, 127 metres. That's phenomenal. Couple of clean breaks, 3 defenders beaten. 7 from 8 tackles. His tackling is one thing that gets criticised a fair bit, but those numbers are pretty nice. 5 passes and an offload. His kicking game wasn't employed as much as I think we've seen it in the past, and one of them he certainly shanks off the side of the boot, but overall, thought James Lowe added a fair bit of value. So did this guy on the other wing, is old MACK HANSEN. He ends up getting man of the match for the Irish, which was, I think, deserved, although it could have gone to any number of the Irish players, to be honest. He finishes with both a try and a try assist, and the try was pretty athletic. Like, he manages to kind of sneak over in the corner without touching the goal line, without being knocked into touch by Duan van der Merwe. Shows enough gas to get it done, so real, yeah, just a light low, man. Some guys have just got that finishing kind of edge, and he showed a bit of that, which was really pleasing. 12 runs for 64 metres, so he's got huge involvement. 2 clean breaks, 1 defender beaten. 10 passes, so again, involvement rate's really high. Couple of offloads. One of those leads to the Conan try, right? Like, he jumps up to take Gibson Park high ball, gets it, and then a couple of phases later, he's the man passing it out wide to Conan, who's able to kind of steam over on his own right wing, so there you go. I mean, 4 out of 7 tackles is not the greatest number. And he started the game in kind of dodgy fashion when, like, Jack Dempsey just flattened him. But, yeah, overall, he wins a couple of turnovers. He's a real nuisance at the breakdown. So, yeah, definitely big positive impact for the Irish out on that right wing. And the last one, I've gone with a Frenchman and Thomas Ramos. Yeah, very good at the back. He finishes like 23 points, man. I mean, France racked up a fair few points, but he ends up with 6 conversions, 2 penalties. I think he missed, was it 1 kick? Yeah, he kicked pretty well. And gets a nice try as well, where he finishes off that one, which was the whole, you know, Flamont's involved, Ollivon's involved, Dumortier, and Ramos has got the gas to get past Stewart at the back. So, yeah, 23 points is a pretty good haul from him. He finishes with 83 metres from 8 carries, which is pretty bloody good, although fullbacks you know, tend to have the higher run meter numbers, but that's still pretty bloody nice. 6 defenders beaten, you don't get that for free. The run meters might, some of them are for free. 6 defenders beaten is shows his kind of dangerous attacking play, a clean break, 10 passes, so his involvements are great. 1 from 3 tackles is not that flash, but yeah, you got to remember, like, it's his like line break and then sneaky kick through, which forces Marcus Smith to then kind of take the ball near his own goal line. Then he gets pushed back over by, I think, DuPont. All right, I forgot to mention that with DuPont. DuPont kind of helps shove him back over his line, and that leads to the OLLIVON try. So sometimes it's just like piece upon piece upon piece of the puzzle, and you end up with points on the board. So there you go, folks. Those are the 15 guys I have picked. Let us know what you reckon. I promised some honourable mentions. Reese Webb, I'm sorry I couldn't pick you, man. You got man of the match in your game. I could have gone with you. 2 try assists as well. I just thought DuPont was just overall on another level. Maybe that's just me being a bit in awe of him, but Reese Webb was bloody good as well. Talupe Faletau as well, scored a try and had a hand in setting one of them up. Liam Williams as well at the back, scored a really nice try. Beat a few Italian defenders when he kind of elusively ran over. Kian Healy needs a bit of credit for playing hooker and scrummaging really well. Interesting how playing 3 props can continue to be a scrummaging weapon. Jack Conan came off the bench and carried really well. Jameson Gibson-Park certainly added a lot of spark from the bench. Speaking of top-class halfbacks, Johnny Gray made 20 tackles for Scotland, which was a great shift, although their line-out struggled. Freddie Stewart sometimes found himself having to turn around and chase or miss tackles occasionally, but goodness me, 115 metres, 7 defenders beaten in a try. He's an attacking weapon. So not the complete player, but still pretty bloody good player. Menoncello for Italy looked really dangerous in the 12 jersey. He beat 5 defenders as well. Nicotera as well, the hooker. I seriously considered him instead of Ken Owens. But, I mean, he had 11 tackles. He won a turnover. Good shift. But, again, the line-out maybe wasn't as flash as they would have liked. Damian Pino, really quiet for most of the game. Had a nice kick and then also finished it off with a couple of tries. So you could argue a point for him. Gael Fiku, just as class still. 50-odd run meters from him, bunch of tackles at the 13 jersey. It's kind of what you've come to expect. But whew, there you go, folks. Team of the week. As always, you guys let us know your thoughts. If you want to buy me a beer, I'll put a link down in the description to the I'll Buy Me a Beer page. Cheers to those people who have been so kind as to provide some liquid refreshment. It's probably coffees during Six Nations time, to be honest, because I'm getting up at stupid o'clock. But yeah, Super Rugby's on as well, so that's more beer o'clock for me. But anyway, hope you guys are all good. Take care of yourselves, and yeah, talk to you guys again soon. See you later.